First frame, Stephen Hendry to break.
We've seen a lot of that this week. Players not getting the break-off shot right. In that case, the cue ball went to the left-hand side of the blue, which Hendry certainly didn't intend. Caught the end red too thin. Almost went in off, but the fact that it didn't means that the break-off shot hasn't turned out too badly. Stephen Hendry was the king of Wembley from 1989 to 1993, winning the Masters on 5 consecutive occasions. In recognition of which he was presented with the original trophy in perpetuity. Stephen's presented with awkward bridging for most reds, but not quite all. By playing on the one left of picture, he's able to strike the centre of the cue ball.
I think that's a useful little flick on the blue. I don't know whether Stephen can get through to the one next to the black. If he can, he'll take it on. Yeah, he can do. But he might have to cannon the black after potting the red to leave it on, looking at the angle he has. Well, he avoided the cannon, but
one.
A little bit unlucky. He knew straight away, Stephen, didn't he, that he wasn't going to be on the black.
Stephen Hendry, 1.
Hendry won the title for a 6th time in 1996, but he thinks it's high time he won it for a 7th time.
What he's looking at, Stephen, he's playing a safety shot. He just was trying to make sure that he wouldn't push a red over this left corner, and he might plant one and leave it over that pocket. That's pretty good. There's a couple of reds that'll pot on the left corner, the two you're looking at, but you wouldn't fancy taking those on at this early stage. It's shot to nothing here. The one to the right of the pack, just to the left of the black, and he can avoid all the reds. If he pots this, he'll get back up the table.
Yes, as long as he didn't miss the pot by too wide a margin, he was going to get the cue ball back towards Bork, but he played that expecting to pot it, which is why he left the cue ball short of the Bork line.
As always, Terry, I'll get my words right in a minute, Clive. Nearly called him Terry Griffiths there. He doesn't look anything like Terry Griffiths, Stephen Hendry. But as always, he'll have a go at a long pot. But I think he's left one into the middle here.
1. 8. Nine.
This is a good early opportunity for Matthew here.
Sixteen. Seventeen.
Stevens was presented with this chance by Hendry's failed red from distance.
24. $25.
With so many reds loose, this is a frame-winning opportunity.
Yeah, this was the long red that Stephen will always have a go at.
32.
Look where the white finished up, and he left one into the middle pocket, and this is the result. Looks very good here, Clive, Matthew.
$33.
A player of exceptional ability who hasn't achieved his full potential. He did win the Masters just across the road at the Conference Centre in 2000, but until he beat Jimmy White in the opening round this year, he hadn't won a single match in the Masters since then. Maybe at the back of his mind was the memory that his father died during the 2001 Masters, so maybe he had some bad vibes about the event.
Slightly out of position again. He just needs one good shot to get him back into prime position, and he can take this in the middle pocket and should be able to finish on the black.
$36.
A little bit more pace would have been better, but he should be okay. Want that white a little bit further out into the table. It's always nice if you can punish your opponent when he makes a mistake, if you can win a frame in one visit. He's not going to do that.
Matthew Stevens, 36.
And that was all caused, Clive, just because he didn't get on the black as he intended.
Yes, if he'd left the cue ball 6 inches nearer the black, I very much doubt whether he would have missed it. So a frame-winning opportunity goes begging.
$8.
Well, I'm pretty sure Hendry played to leave red to middle. But it turns out there's a gap, and that will have the benefit of bringing pink and red into play. That's if he can get through to the potting angle.
$9.
little bit of angle, so no problem getting onto a red. This was the shot Hawkeye will
16.
show you what would have happened had he have played it a little bit harder. He'd have been perfectly on the black and he'd still have been at the table.
17.
But that would have been perfect, but he finished nearer the cushion and that was the reason he then missed the black.
Okay.
He looks pretty relaxed,
23.
Stephen, and that was a disappointing final against Peter Ebden. For 3 or 4 frames I've never seen Stephen Hendry miss so many. He'd lost it completely, Clive, for a while, but I'm sure that's long gone from his memory.
$24.
Yes, you're referring to the UK final at York just before Christmas. Hendry had played so well throughout the event, but then folded up in the final, it has to be said. And he confessed to feeling curiously flat for the final session,
31.
which is not like him at all.
Well, that
32.
is just ridiculous. Look where the white's finished. That's one of the worst kicks you'll see. The white virtually stopped dead. And knowing Stephen, he'd probably now have a go at the difficult yellow, but have a look at that. White, it was more like a stun shot.
Yes, that was very unfortunate, although overall I believe there have been far fewer kicks in this tournament than
Yellow ball.
in most.
Stephen Hendry, 32.
Yeah, he thought long and hard there and decided not to take that difficult yellow on. Now, this is the type of shot that Stephen Hendry is usually so good at, but occasionally and recently he's been missing a few of these. He practices these for hours on end.
One.
Not quite on the black as intended. Now, if he cannons the red here, he should be okay. Maybe he's not attempting to cannon it. No, he did. But look,
Stephen
dear,
Hendry,
oh dear,
1.
I tell you what, he took his eye off the black completely. He didn't even get close. That's a bit worrying.
What a let-off.
Well, Stephen's back at the table. He can't believe that Matthew missed that one.
One.
Now, the key ball, there's no point in me telling you, but as you can see, it's going to be the yellow. The fact that
8.
it's the correct side of the table for Stephen being a right-hander might just help him somewhat.
9.
In fact, he's played for it this time, and as long as he's got a little bit of angle, he can leave the yellow on when it's respotted for the opposite corner.
Played for yellow off the last red because
11.
when it comes back on its spot to be potted again, much nearer the cue ball than the green would have been from a straight last red, from a straight pot rather.
13.
This is the key one, long green. He'll automatically finish on the brown. There you could see the eyes of Stephen Hendry, one of the only players that goes from the object ball to the pocket occasionally. There you could just see him glancing at the pocket.
Stephen Hendry, 13.
Played in such a way that he was giving himself a chance of covering the green with either, well, blue really. Pink didn't really come into play, but he was mindful of possibly coming out safe if he happened to miss that green.
I fancy Matthew to pot this if he can bend this around the blue. Okay, the white won't go too far up the table, but he'll go close to potting this. Well, not like that. He didn't get enough swerve on it. And I think Stephen Hendry can pot the green and avoid the black and get up towards the brown. Oh, that's too close to the cushion.
3.
That's a pretty poor shot from Stephen there.
A very good shot from there. It puts it 18 in front
7.
with 18 on the table, and he can consider himself unfortunate not to have a shot at the blue to secure the frame.
That was a super pot though, from the white being tight on the cushion. He really did cue this perfectly, right in the center of the pocket.
Yes, and just about any other nudge on the blue, and it would have been simple to secure the frame.
Stephen Hendry, 7.
He's got a safety on here. He can send the blue twice across and in behind the black, and the white back up to near where it is now.
Very good. Stevens has got to hit this, otherwise he would need a snooker.
Well, he's got a choice. 2 cushions would be better, just above the middle pocket and a little bit of left hand side. Now he doesn't want the white to go in the corner pocket.
Foul. Stephen Hendry, 5.
So Stevens needs a snooker.
He's still got a bit of a chance, Matthew, but had the white have gone in off, definitely would have been all over.
5.
that settles it. Quite a mixture in this opening frame from Hendry. A very unlucky kick when he was well placed. Missed a couple of easy balls, but the key ultimately was a great brown bridging
Hendry
across
5.
the cushion.
And the first frame.
So Stephen Hendry leads Matthew Stevens by a frame to 0. Now, just let's have a look at a kick midway through that frame.
Yeah, it was horrendous, wasn't it, the kick? And with Hawkeye, we can show you what would have happened. The white virtually stopped dead when Stephen was trying to pot a red and get onto the black. And here we go, we can show you it now. So this was the shot. It was a straightforward roll the red in, finish nicely on the black for the left corner. And that's what normally would have happened with the shot. And this is actually what happened. Stephen's just running the red in. Have a look what happens. You could hear the kick. And the white stopped dead. So look at the difference. It's amazing, Clive.
Thank you. The second frame. Matthew Stevens to bring.
He likes to take these on, doesn't he? And the black is available.
Long way out though. Had he made the potting angle, he would have been on the black from the other side of the table to the right corner.
This is a thin snick to the middle pocket. The white will go towards the brown if he takes it on. He seems to fancy the middle more than the corner. But he was always going to cannon the brown.
Foul.
Bit unlucky to go in off,
Hendry,
but
4.
that was the natural path the white was going to take.
Yes, as long as he didn't go in off, he got some sort of shot at a colour, so that was unlucky. All the more so to leave such an easy starter.
One.
Well, that was a terrific shot there. He had an awful long way to travel with the white. And with 3 or 4 loose reds, it's a decent chance for Stephen Hendry, but
6.
that white had to come all the way up and down the table and halfway back up again.
7. $14. 15.
Might just play the little cannon here. It's a delicate little shot, but watch the difference it makes if he pulls it off. See, only a nudge, and it makes such a vast difference.
22. 23. 30.
Yeah, he's just concerned about the pack. It's not a good pack to go into from the black, and that's why he's just taking a little bit longer. Normally you just get down, pot this, leave an angle on the black and go into the bunch, but you see that little triangle of 6 reds, it's so easy to stick in the back of those. He needs to play it more of
31.
a stun shot and just catch. He really wants to catch the left red of that little triangle as we look at it, more with a stun shot rather than hit the middle red. In fact, it looks as if he's not going into them because he just doesn't fancy the way they are.
$38. $39.
Well, that was well worked out because he knew that if he got on that red, he would be glancing off the side of the bunch. The only thing that perhaps isn't quite so good about the outcome is that he looks to have finished fairly straight on the brown and is having to dig down to try to get some backspin. Even then, he couldn't get close to his next red.
43. Stephen Hendry, 43.
The frame up and 47-0. So far so good for Hendry.
There's no plant or anything on. He's just worried about pushing a red over the left corner pocket if he plays the safety shot. Now Stephen Hendry will be quite pleased to see those reds. You see the one near the left side cushion, the one near the right side cushion. Those are 2 pieces of insurance for him, being 47 points in the lead. Oh, that's a poor shot. In fact, he may have got away with that. And he could have been very fortunate here. I think he's covered everything. Nothing there. And the black is snookering him for the red along the cushion. So he had a bit of a result there.
Stephen's careful to snooker Hendry on the top red, the one nearest the balk line.
Yes, and he also freed one of the difficult reds, Clive, so that's pretty good thinking. Yeah, he's having to give this a bit of thought because there's no straightforward, easy safety shot available.
Foul. Matthew Stevens, 4.
Never ceases to amaze me what can happen at this game. Okay, the last shot, he played the red onto the pink. He was trying to just send that red onto the pink, hold the white up the other end, but what a trick shot it turned out to be. And now this is a great chance for Matthew Stevens. There's only one red safe.
One. Four. Five. 12.
And I'm just thinking 4 or 5 shots ahead, the one red that I mentioned that was safe, the one that's next to it is available to the middle pocket, could come into play. Eventually, when he gets
13.
there, he could leave himself in such a way as to pot that red in the middle and free the difficult one. But that's quite a few shots from now.
$20. $21.
Well, almost missed it. Dropped in despite hitting the near jaw.
$28. $29.
Picking them off very nicely. In fact, well, he's now got
36.
an angle on this red, but it's a bit risky to move the one off the cushion at this stage. But that's what he's just thinking about. But might be better just concentrating and getting nicely on the pink here. But he has the angle to pot this red and develop the difficult one. He might leave it because I thought he would do it off the red to the right of that in a couple of shots' time. I think this is the best option. If he gets the white in the
37.
correct position now, he can move the difficult red. In fact, I've got my circle up, and that's exactly where he'd like to be, somewhere along that line, to pot the other red and move the one that's on the cushion. And as long as he brings the red and the white off the
43.
cushion, this could clinch the frame for him if it works out.
44. It's 50.
Oh dear.
Matthew Stevens 50.
Well, Stevens was going well, but this is for no apparent reason, and he seemed about to level at 1-all.
One.
Yeah, the reason Matthew didn't play for pink or black, he wanted to get up on the blue or the green. It was easier to get onto the yellow. And I'm not sure if Matthew didn't indicate that he got a slight kick. He seemed to point his tip at the white when he missed that red.
Eight.
Yeah, he was pointing his tip of the cue at the white, so whether he got a heavy contact or not, difficult to tell. But it's
10.
not difficult to tell that Stephen Hendry looks odds on at taking this second frame. Only needs green, brown and blue. And he's got
13.
very little to do with the white here to leave an easy blue.
$17. $22. $28 and a frame.
Stephen seemed about to
Stephen
level
Hendry.
at 1 all until he missed the last red. Hendry cleared to the pink to go 2-0 ahead. Well, that was an interesting frame. Stevens unluckily went in off. That let Hendry in for 43. Hendry unluckily went in off. That let Stevens in for 50. But Stevens missed the last red, possibly with a kick involved, although it wasn't apparent to Dennis and myself. And Hendry cleared from last red to pink. So Hendry has made the start he was hoping for, even if he will still hope to cut out 1 or 2 of the unforced errors he's been making in the early stages.
The third frame. Stephen Hendry to break. One.
It's a Stephen Hendry hallmark shot. When he starts knocking those in, you're going to be in trouble.
Eight.
He's been doing that ever since 1985, Clive.
Albeit not quite so consistently in recent years. He hasn't in fact won a title
9.
for 23 months, but there was certainly a difference about him at the UK Championship at York just before Christmas, not only in his form but in his level of intensity.
Yeah, he's just let it slip a little bit, because to get back to world number 1 was a remarkable achievement, but provisionally he slipped
16.
to number 11.
$17.
Yes, the rankings assessed on 2 years' performances. So the provisional rankings are the ranking points from last season's tournaments and the first 3 ranking events of this season.
could have been better. He'll always take the chance to go into the bunch. He got a lot of spin there, but it's finished a little awkward. A couple of pots available, but once the pink goes, it can't go on its own spot, so it's in a direct line behind it. That takes
23.
the two reds that I thought he could pot out of play. This is a very thin snick. I don't think he can cut this in. This looks like maybe just a safety shot. I think that safety might be available to him if he clips off that red. I don't think he can hit that red thin enough to pot it into the corner pocket, but I'm sure he could somehow manage to get across the table a couple of times and put Matthew in a bit of trouble. Well, he's tried to pot it.
Foul.
In fact, he overcut it in the end.
Hendry 23. Matthew Stevens 4.
Struggling to hit it thin enough and hit it too thin.
Tell you what, Clive, we've had a few in-offs. But the white cannoning off other balls and going in off has happened to both players now.
Now, how straight is this red? Very straight.
Well, yeah, I was wondering why he's putting it straight. If he puts it over near the yellow, he can play it and just run it off two cushions and out onto the black with a little bit of topspin. It's much easier to get on the black from over there rather than dead straight.
1.
Now the black I think is only available into one corner,
8.
so that might cause a bit of a problem here for Matthew. Look at the angle. Normally you just roll this red in, black available to the opposite corner, but the red there, the right side of your screen, is blocking the path for that. That's the reason he's had to go up the other end of the table, and now it's going to have to be green or brown, and he'd like to get up onto that red that's near the right side corner pocket. And there's the Hawkeye view of that black that won't pass the red. That was the reason he took the white up the other end of the table.
Matthew Stevens 9.
Well, it was a rest shot, but he'll be disappointed to have missed that.
Yeah, he was asking a lot because he did try to get onto that red near the right corner pocket. Stephen can get through to the potting angle, but he's got the similar problem. He'll have to work the cue ball a little bit here. Well, now, does he feel that the black goes past the red? I don't think so. He's just going to... Now, that's too tight. So there really wasn't any position he could play there.
Stephen Hendry 1.
Matthew was a bit reluctant to play off the bunch there because he felt he would push a red over the corner. That's why he played the single red, and he caught it a bit on the thickish side. What sort of angle has he got on this long red? That's a bit awkward just to run through and get on the black.
One.
That's a clever shot. He used the side of the pocket because the white was going to go near to the black. Had he have potted this red in the heart of the pocket, he's put it in off that left hand jaw, and that was very good.
Eight. 9. Sixteen.
Well, Hendry's pot success is 94%. Although he has missed a couple of easy ones in the opening frame.
Thank you. 17.
Just looking at the number of times
24.
they've played, Clive, it's 10 wins to Stephen Hendry, 8 to Matthew Stevens. And there has been a whitewash, believe it or not, but although it was just the best of 3 or the best of 5, he won 3-0, did Matthew, in the Grand Prix. And the way things are going here, Stephen Hendry's going to revenge that because it looks like he's going to go 3-0 in front.
Well, I personally wouldn't count best of 5s in a head-to-head record. It's not a long enough match to provide a true test.
$25.
But it's one of those matches, isn't it? Stephen looks like going 3-0 up, but
32.
Matthew could quite easily have won the 2 opening frames.
$33.
Yeah, his pot success rate's at 95%, but still his highest breaks just 43.
$40. $41. $48. $49.
It's amazing there's that little gap there just to get to the pink. But he's looking pretty solid as the former 7 times world champion.
55. 56.
One more frame to be played before the mid-session interval, and the Welshman could do with that one.
63. 64. 64 and a frame. Stephen Hendry.
That break of 64 increases Stephen Hendry's lead to 3-0. So a revival is required from Stevens, otherwise we may not be long detained this afternoon.
loving every minute of this. Now we know the black would pot the way Matthew played the previous shot, so that tells me that the red next to it is available. But there's 2 or 3 other reds that Stephen can play on here. That's not great. He's got the red, but
3.
black only available into one corner pocket. Pink tied up. He's going to have to head back towards the blue.
Four.
The blue on its spot would be better, but he hasn't got a good angle on the blue here, so the brown is the better one to get good position. Still not easy.
8. Nine.
Now, will he take the blue this time? Because there's a red at the back of the bunch he can get on. No, it's a yellow, and he's got a long way to go with the cue ball here. He struck it very nicely. If he's straight on this red, he can get onto the black this time.
11.
He's not straight, but I still think he can get onto the black. Matthew looking over Stephen's shoulder there.
12.
And this is the big shot coming up. We know what Stephen Hendry's going to play. He's going to pot that black, go into the bunch. Key shot. I don't think it's any good. He didn't quite get into it as he intended.
19.
Well, both players at a 93% pot success rate, but it's going to be the vital ball that they pot which is going to determine the outcome of this deciding frame.
Stephen Hendry, 19.
Unlucky with the pack opener, and therefore forced into safety.
Stephen Hendry really has been involved in some exciting matches here in the Masters, hasn't he, Clive? What about the re-spotted black against Mark Williams?
Yes, and it was Williams who potted it. Six times Masters champion, and twice after that runner-up.
Well, we've seen a barrage of big breaks by Matthew Stevens to get back into this, a deciding frame. I like to see a tactical close battle. It makes it much more exciting.
Yes, the tension is often longer drawn out in that type of frame. This is a very searching examination of Hendry's temperament, for all his experience and achievements. Well, it's worked out pretty well.
Snookered on all balls. That's a pretty good effort there. Couple of possible pots, but I think Stephen might settle for a safety shot off the red to the right. He can get back behind the yellow and blue here, and I think that would be the right choice. Wow. He hit it a bit too thin, but it's turned out it couldn't have been better. Yeah, he's got Matthew in all sorts of trouble now. There might be one escape back down the table. I think he just could be okay. I think if he plays off that red, he can avoid the cannon on the other red and get back up the table. That is available to him. Well, he's playing the other one, which is slightly more difficult. He still can get back up the table off this left red. Well, not played as intended.
Now he thought if he hit it a bit thinner than that, the right hand side would check the cue ball off the two cushions and get it back behind the baulk line. So somewhat fortuitously, having so nearly gone in off with a miss-hit safety, this is a very useful chance for Hendry.
But in a deciding frame, we all know that anything can be missed. But he's in the driving seat. He's got a 25-point advantage, and he's at the table.
Eight.
That looks pretty good. Play for
13.
the pink now. This definitely is a good chance.
Yep, 14.
Yes, when you're 5-0 up, it's very hard to resist some kind of assumption at the back of your mind that you're going to win, and it's bound to shake anybody when you find that you've got to win the match all over again.
Mind, Stephen Hendry has been one of the greatest pressure players also in the game. You don't win all the titles he's won without being good under pressure.
$21.
Showing an awful lot of character here.
The possibility is growing that Stevens' spirited and high quality recovery
27.
is going to ultimately prove in vain.
28.
Okay, he's not safe yet, but it's been thoroughly enjoying. I've enjoyed every single ball potted in this match. Tell you what, Clive, you could hear a pin drop out there in the arena.
34.
So, red colour red required.
35.
He's played superbly well, has Matthew Stevens. It's been a fabulous comeback, but it might just all be in vain. But well done. This end red must pot.
41.
Oh, it's tight, but I think he only needs the red, so even if he has to play it with a little touch aside, he can still make it. He's got to be a bit careful though. Doesn't want to catch the other red first, otherwise he won't pot this. Well, he doesn't feel as if he can make the pot.
Stephen Hendry, 41.
So he decides to stick on 41, which puts him 59 in front, with only 59 in the table, and the black at the moment safe.
It couldn't be another re-spotted black, surely, not for Stephen Hendry at the Masters.
Good length safety from Stevens, which has also developed the black.
Oh, that was so close, but he'll settle for this. This red is on, but there's only one way Matthew Stevens can get on the black. If he pots the red, he's got to cannon the other red to stay on the black. That's the only chance he has. If he pots the red and cannons that red, he could stay on the black.
1.
What a way to
Stevens
go.
won, playing in the match.
What a match.
Stephen Hendry.
Hendry led 5-0. Stevens won the next 5 frames in an hour, making 2 centuries. But in the end, it's Stephen Hendry who gets over the line after a memorable afternoon snooker to win by 6 frames to 5.
And came back brilliantly, made some great breaks and put Stephen under a lot of pressure. And you know, even at the end there, it still wasn't over. If Matthew, you know, could have cleared up and even forced a respot, which would have been exciting again, you know. But fantastic match, wasn't it?
Oh,
Stephen needed all that Masters experience there, didn't he? That he's got from down the years.
He'll be the first to admit as well. He had a little bit of luck in the last game. He had a couple of he played a couple of pots there. One that ended up in the snooker. Another one, a poor safety, to end up in jaws and put Matthew in a lot of trouble. Yeah. But you need that, you know. All credit to him. He held himself together in amongst the balls. But a classic match, an absolute classic.
Yeah. Matthew, will he take any encouragement in defeat? Where's Stephen?
Never in doubt.
Congratulations.
Another easy one.
Did you enjoy the afternoon?
I just said to Matthew there, I said I'd have been obviously disappointed to lose, but I wouldn't have been gutted. You know, sometimes you're gutted obviously if you're 5-0 up and lose, but I tell you, it was a game of 2 halves. Just incredible. He played superb from 5-0, and just delighted I was able to sort of hold myself together, make a pretty decent couple of breaks in the last frame.
Did you just keep saying to yourself when you had to sit in your chair a lot as he came back, and you just kept waiting for the chance?
My first real chance was at 5-3. I had a great chance then, to be honest, and just I played a poor shot. But Matthew just dominated from 5-0, and in the last frame he had a couple of long balls that if he'd got, he probably would have cleared it himself. But I'm just delighted to be true, really.
The thing that's more disconcerting, isn't it, is when you're playing someone who's a heavy scorer as well, because the frames come back quicker and quicker. It's not like he's winning in 2 or 3
I know, and it
visits.
was 5-0 to 5-5, and what was it? Must have been about an hour, something like that. It was just he just turned. I said to him, he just turned into a different player from 5-0. But it was a good standard of match. Obviously, I dominated the first 5, and he dominated the second 5.
Great entertainment, Ken, wasn't it?
It was superb. I mean, even we were saying the last, he had a chance on the black. I know he was 59 behind, but
I thought he was clearing up.
yeah,
When he
you
put
could see it. You
red
could
was
see
a
the reach,
superb
but
shot.
when you're sitting in the chair and it's against you, and everything is sort of from 5-0, you're waiting for your next game, and then all of a sudden it's 5.
I was never so delighted to see a black wobble in my life.
We noticed you got out of the chair. Right?
You had one other chance as well, and you got a monstrous kick, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a good chance. Funny enough, it was the best I felt from sort of 5-0 to 5-5 when I had a chance to clear to win 6-4 it would be, and I felt I was going to do it then, because sometimes you just get a feeling where you're going to do it, and I got a kick and I was just oh, that's it, we're destined to lose. Book the flights.
What's your reaction to having your hands cast in cement to be in the Square of Fame here? Did you know
fantastic.
you're alongside Madonna, or in between Madonna and Kylie, isn't it?
There's a sandwich.
If you're not happy about winning, you're on.
How many snooker players can say that? But, no, it was a fantastic honour. When David Thompson, the head of Wembley, phoned me up the other night and said we'd like to do it. It was, and to be sort of the first sportsman, even not just like the only snooker player, but the first sportsman to be there is just an incredible honour, really, fabulous.
It certainly wasn't for your singing qualities, at anyway.
We know it's down the road from the conference centre, but this area has been terrific for you down the years. You've had some great times here, haven't you?
Yeah, fantastic memories. Some great matches. Obviously, winning the 5 in a row and being presented with a trophy by Benson Hedges. That was probably one of my special trophies. It's in the cabinet. That's fantastic. Obviously, I won it again, and some great matches down the years.
Great entertainment this afternoon from Stephen and from Matthew, and with it being the top 16 head-to-head, now we're sort of getting on a little bit. It's starting to motor, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just a fantastic match. I mean, we said earlier, me and Ken did a little piece earlier, that this should be a cracker, and for once we got something right.
I was just saying, even the atmosphere was great. How do you think it compares to the conference centre? Because the crowd were really getting up for it, weren't they, and clapping most shots?
It's good because although there's like 4,000 seats, the crowd are all in the seats that are close to the table, which makes it a great atmosphere. We'll never replace the conference centre, because that was, along with golfs in Ireland, it was one of the great venues for snooker. But no, it's a fantastic atmosphere today. It was a great crowd to play in front of.
We started off by saying you are relentless in your search for success.
Yeah, very much so. Very hungry, very very motivated at the moment, and just enjoying competing again, because I played so poorly sort of last half of last season and the first half of the season.
You're putting plenty of hours in, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I am. It's I wouldn't say it's the most pleasurable experience in my life, but I'm doing it. At the end of the day, it's my job. I think some snooker players forget it's their job. They're a snooker player, and that's why they don't practice this thing. I don't like it, but not everyone likes their job. You just got to go on with it.
Yeah, well, it's necessary, isn't it? If you want to get the rewards and the results,
absolutely.
it's necessary.
If I want to compete, I mean, you can still win tournaments putting in an hour or two. Don't get me wrong. It's not a guarantee of success, but for me, I think it definitely helps.
When you have standards, personal standards, you set yourself to as well, which will never drop, I guess.
Too high, yeah. Too high.
It still hurts like crazy, doesn't it, when it doesn't go so well for you? You can see it in your eyes.
Oh God, yeah. I'm a terrible loser. Even when I lose to Blaine when we play at home on a 6-foot table, I don't like it.
We saw him in the previous tournament, actually. He's starting to pick up, he's got his dad's genes, he's looking good on the table,
he's got his dad's habit of being a bad loser as well. If you're watching us at home, probably back from school, but it's that's in me. It'll always be in me. I'm a terrible loser. I'm set myself really high standards, and if I don't live up to them, I'm punish myself.
Congratulations, great entertainment today. Thank and well you. Played, Matthew. I think we'd all say that as well, wouldn't we? It was fantastic.
Well done.
Time to reflect on Ronnie O'Sullivan's passage into the quarter-finals. He put in a stunning performance in his match with Ali Carter.